Yeah. All right, we're live.
Oh, we are
Let me
live.
see if I can get Semaj in real quick.
We're live, and so is Charlie Kirk.
He's alive in heaven.
Yes, he is. I think his voice is going to be stronger. It's going to be more influential than it's ever been.
Yeah.
There's a verse in Hebrews that
Can't
says,
be wrong.
by faith the dead still speak. I remember my grandmother. I have a picture of my grandmother, Reverend Anna E. Smith, and that's what I put under it, because I believe Gloucester County Community Church is a direct result of my grandmother.
Yeah.
You know?
So normally we do a very animated welcome, but today we're speaking in memory of Charlie Kirk, and I just don't think it's appropriate, so there'll be a little solace today, but we still welcome you to Hijacked Life Live, where we talk about how the Bible is relevant in today's current events, answer questions, and so today, Pastor Bruce, our subject.
Well, as you know, I had already scripted Tuesday our subject, which was the rewards of repentance. And I was going to walk through the kings and those who repented and those who didn't, and looked at the consequences. Which, by the way, would have been a very fitting title for today, too.
Yeah.
But when Charlie was maliciously and violently murdered, I thought, how can we not, on this 9/11,
Crazy.
right, not address this subject of, at the age of 31, his death and all the pieces that surround it.
Yeah, so there's probably a good amount of people that don't actually know what Charlie did and what Turning Point was, if you want to talk about that maybe before
Sure.
we get into it.
So it's called Turning Point USA. It was an American nonprofit organization that advocated conservative politics on high school, college, and university campuses. It was founded in 2012. So what's it, 13 years old? Yeah, it was 13 years old. And it was described as the fastest, by the way, growing organization of campus chapters in America. In 2016, the organization launched Professor Watch List. And it was a website that lists academic staff that, according to Turning Point USA, discriminated against conservative students and advanced leftist propaganda in the classroom. So this guy was courageous.
He was.
It attempted to influence government elections in an effort to combat liberalism on college and university campuses. In 2021, Turning Point USA started its School Board Watch List website, which published names and photographs of school board members who adopted mask mandates or anti-racist curricula. So, I mean, Charlie was an activist.
Yeah, he was against racism. He was against anti-Semitism. He was pro-God.
All the way. So it led its operations separate from traditional conservative organizations nationwide. He spoke and set up organizations such as the Student Action Summit, Young Women's Leadership Summit, Young Black Leadership Summit, and America Fest, which was an organization funded by conservative donors and foundations, including the Republican Party. So I think we should talk about the man that was the organization. I wonder if we have any, we'll look a little later, but those of you who are viewers, if you would like to join us, we would love to have you be a part of our conversation today. But Martin, tell us a little bit about the man.
It's just crazy that you, as we get into who he was, you talked about how he stood up for all these people that need someone to stand up for them, right? We don't have an activist like him anymore in the world. He stood up for blacks, he stood up for Jews, he stood up for all these rights, women's rights, stood up for all these causes, and yet
on the moral side.
Yeah, and yet people,
hey, brigade.
And people are still.
We're talking about the death of Charlie Kirk.
Yeah, Steve and I are pissed off.
I was just saying that
my wife cried all day yesterday. She could not stop
so
crying.
did Gianna. But I was saying that he stood up for women's rights, he stood up for black rights, he stood up for anti-Semitism, and people are still cheering and celebrating his death. I think it's disgusting. But back to who he was.
One question. Hey, Ray, is there a way to bring Semaj
You can
in
look on
if
my
he's
phone
here?
if you want.
He was supposed to tune in, but we're half an hour
You
early.
go right
so
away
I'm-
from the.
I know, but it's
No,
not
that's
going to
not
link.
work.
It is linked.
Really? No, but I'm not going to be able to add him to this live because it's on the iPad.
You will.
Well, whatever. Just see if you can add him. But go ahead.
Because I still can collaborate people on my phone. I just don't see the button on the iPad or the phone how to bring Semaj in.
So let's talk a little bit about the man.
Yeah, so he was born October 14th, 1993 in Arlington Heights, Illinois.
So he wasn't even 32 yet. 31.
No. We all know the day he died, September 10th. Cause of death was a gunshot wound. Went to Harper College, dropped out to follow his conservative dream. He was a political activist. Had been in this for 13 years, started at the age of 18.
Is that crazy? 18?
Yeah. And beautiful wife, Erica, married in 2021 with 2 children, which, by the way, she made a post the other day that she says, in 10 days, news is coming. I really hope she's not pregnant. I know. So, the question is, and this is a loaded question, what are your thoughts on what happened yesterday?
Martin, I'm tearing up. I didn't do this yesterday. I have so many thoughts. There's so much that surrounds this. First, I'm going to begin with pastors. People like me. I said to my wife this morning, you know why we're where we are? Because pastors that have great influence. And, I'm just thinking, sorry if I'm naming names, and I don't mean this to be, what should I want to say, derogative in any way or disparaging, but people like Furtick, Osteen, who did Purpose Driven Life?
Oh, Rick Warren.
Rick Warren. Hey, look at these people that have influence over literally tens of thousands of people. And I said to her, they ought to be doing what Charlie Kirk did. They ought to be making themselves available.
They can't, because what Charlie Kirk did is he didn't speak out of emotion or he didn't speak out of, personal agenda. He was a very intelligent man, read over 100 books a year, knew the Constitution in and out, knew the Declaration of Independence in and out, and knew the Bible in and out. So when he spoke with actual facts, never lost his temper, never had rage, and welcomed what we should always strive to do is agree to disagree.
Yeah.
He
welcomed the opposition's voice.
Yeah.
But here's my point then, that we are where we are as a culture because the pulpit does not address the issues he addressed.
Yeah.
They don't address abortion anymore. That's a long-gone thing. They don't address same-sex marriage or homosexuality. They don't address transgender. They don't address any of these issues today that literally God will destroy our nation if we keep in that route. The violence, the murders. I mean, seriously. I just think that the pulpit has been silent where it needs to speak. And Charlie had the courage, and this is what I'm going to say to all the people who hate Trump. You know what? He's the most courageous president in my lifetime. He has stood for things that no other president would stand for because he knew it wouldn't be liked. But he goes to a pro-life rally and he stands behind life in the womb. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he's got courage to address what no other politician or president in my lifetime, maybe Reagan was the closest, was willing to address.
So many people in public figures were fired because of what they said in their opinion on Charlie's death yesterday. And the rhetoric of, he stood for your Second Amendment and now he got what he deserved. People are saying that.
Oh, yeah, I know.
But I want to tell you something. I wanted to look that up online yesterday, the details. We were coming home from celebrating Brigide's birthday. I said to the family, let's pretend God somehow took every gun out of every home in America in an instant. Nobody had a weapon. Then I looked up how many murders in the United States of America are done every year with guns that are obtained illegally and not by licensed owners. 600,000.
93%, right?
93% of murders are committed with guns that were obtained illegally, printed by a 3D printer.
Yeah.
They are not 93. That means only 3% are people that have illegal guns. So by them saying that he stood up for the Second Amendment, it's crazy.
Well, here's the other thing. I said this to Cheryl. I said, if our government can take away our freedom of speech, which they're working on doing, and take away our guns, we've lost our freedom. That's why our founders put that in there. Freedom of speech. And hey, I'm sorry, Instagram. I didn't realize I didn't bring you guys in live. I'm just now bringing you in, but we're discussing the death of Charlie Kirk and everything that surrounds it. But anyway, what I'm saying is, if they take away our rights, freedom of speech, and they take away our rights to bear arms, we've lost our freedom.
Well,
we're in a communistic country.
Let's take away freedom for a second. Heroin has never been legal, correct?
Correct.
Has cocaine ever been legal?
No.
Okay. Is fentanyl ever been legal?
No, it's killer.
Okay, so cocaine, heroin, fentanyl, never legal. People die every minute in this country. So just because it's illegal doesn't mean they're not going to get their hands on it. Right. They're missing the purpose. The purpose, and what it enrages me about Charlie's death is that we used to live in a society where we would say, even if you disagree, we would say, I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. That's not our mindset anymore.
No. Watch this. I have this in here, Martin. Look.
I didn't read it.
So these are public figures we're saying. So read, this is an example. Read what Matthew Dowd wrote.
Oh, he got fired.
Yeah.
Charlie Kirk has been one of the most divisive, especially divisive younger figures in this, who is constantly sort of pushing this sort of hate speech or sort of aimed at certain groups. I think you can't stop with these sort of awful thoughts you have and then saying these awful words and not expect awful actions to take place. In other words, Charlie got what he deserved. That's disgusting.
Yeah, and he got fired.
He got fired. But I go back to, we used to live in a world where even if you disagree with someone, you would say, I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. Today in 2025, you cheer and you clap. Look at Congress. They started dropping the F-bomb when they asked to have a moment of silence. Even the Yankee Stadium had a moment of silence for him.
But you think, I said to Cheryl, think about this. Every person in America has to acknowledge there's a Charlie Kirk today. The flags are at half-mast. His voice will be more influential. It'll be louder than it's ever been in his death.
And his kids are going to grow up without a father, and all because of some radical nut. And there are people praising it.
Yes, they are. But while we're talking about these are what some of the public figures said. So Barack Obama wrote, we don't yet know what motivated the person who shot and killed Charlie Kirk. But this kind of despicable violence has no place in our democracy. Michelle and I will be praying for Charlie's family tonight, especially his wife Erica and 2 young children.
Well, that was very nice.
It was. Look at what President Trump wrote.
The great and even legendary Charlie Kirk is dead. No one understood or had the heart of the youth in the United States of America better than Charlie. He was loved and admired by all, especially me. And now he's no longer with us. Alani and my sympathies go out to his beautiful wife, Erica, and family. Charlie, we love you. Trump wrote this on his social media platform.
Yeah. But anyway, let's talk about some of the repercussions of this. So, I really believe we have an all-out satanic, demonic attack on righteous voices in America. This is a spiritual battle.
I believe it is.
Do you know there was a lady in Lancaster who was a counselor for children? She wrote that basically he got exactly what he wrote, what he deserved. I hope if she doesn't get fired, something's wrong with that school district.
It goes back to I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy.
Right.
What happened to love your neighbor? All of those things. You're allowed. I've seen a lot of posts where people said I didn't agree with Charlie's position, but he didn't deserve to die. That's how it should be. You don't have to agree with him, but to commend that he was slaughtered and left behind those kids, and not to mention the lives he would have continued to change in the future. It's really just so sad.
So this is on Instagram. Pastor Solomon joined us, and he said he will always be alive because he dies for Jesus Christ. Brio Boutique joined us. Look, wow, this is on Instagram. I don't know who's with us on, but anyway. So my question is, what does a shooting like this do to speakers whose topics disagree with parts of our culture? will it remove them from the public place?
Well,
You know, like a Rush Limbaugh, who was a conservative, he spoke behind a microphone. Charlie was out in the crowds.
See,
Is that going to take that away?
we don't have that. That's what when you said about all the people that have a voice and have an audience that don't do what Charlie did. We don't even have anybody in our country that's doing what he did on any level. There is nobody like him.
But will it raise up somebody? Like searching for Bobby Fischer,
Well,
right? Are we going to find another Charlie
We
Kirk?
never got another Martin Luther King.
No, we didn't.
He was
No.
the closest thing to it.
Yeah, he's the closest thing to Martin Luther King. We
He
never
is.
got another Martin Luther
But
King.
think about this. God forgive if I'm going the wrong place, and if I am, those of you who are watching, you can correct me. But why is there an assassination attempt on President Trump? He said, because they're out for you, and I stand in the way. That's exactly what he said. Charlie would feel the same way. He stood in the way of those who were out for us, what we believe, right? But why wasn't there an assassination attempt on Biden or Obama or Clinton? Why is it on the conservative, on right side of things? My wife said that to me last night, and I never thought about that. Like, how come this attack is on the right, what we consider the righteous voice, or being in the right of things? Now, some would argue with us, and that's fine. But you take out somebody's life because they disagree with you?
He was the definition of being allowed to disagree. He was the definition of being allowed to disagree. And I go back to what I said in the beginning, that he didn't speak out of emotion. He spoke with facts. He used the Bible as his authority. He knew the Constitution. He knew state laws like the back of his hand. And that's why people couldn't get over on him when they spoke out of emotion. And he died for what he believed in. And it's a tragic loss to our country. It's a tragic loss to people who maybe will never know the Lord because he's not here. You don't know all the things that his road had.
I think there's another question here too, though. You got to ask it. If you think about it, remember when James was beheaded in the New Testament, and so then Herod saw it pleased the people, so he then threw Peter and John in prison, and the next day they were going to lose their lives too, and the church prayed. And if you remember, an angel released them from prison. And then Peter goes to the house where they were praying, and Rhoda answers the door, the maidservant.
Right.
Remember, and she says, she was so shocked, she thought it was his spirit or ghost. And she went back in, and they said, open the door, and it was Peter. But I'm just wondering, will this awaken the church to pray? Because Charlie's just the first of many are going to be targeted that have a voice like his, to take them out. I mean, that's the reality of it.
Somebody just wrote that he was never afraid to stand for God, his family, and this country. We don't have anyone like him willing to do that with a platform like him.
Yeah, well, we do. We have pastors that have huge platforms,
But
and
they
they
don't.
should do it.
But
They
they're
should
not.
have the courage to do it.
They don't, they're not, and they won't, because if you listen to their sermons, they don't even touch the stuff that he teaches.
Right.
And he teaches the Word of God. He teaches the law. He teaches the Constitution. It's
And
crazy.
so this question arises. He's 31 years of age. By the way, Julius, who was the emperor of Rome? Was it Julius Caesar? Yeah, Et Brutus. He died at like 30. No, who was the general that conquered the world? The Roman general. Was that Julius Caesar? But anyway, he died at 33. What I'm saying is, Billy Joel said, why did the good die young? So my question here is, why would God allow somebody to take Charlie out?
Well, I go back. You know how I feel about that. He's not a puppeteer. I don't believe he wanted him shot. I believe that he's not a puppeteer. We have the right to do right. We have the right to do wrong. We have free will, and man screws up all day long. That's what I think. I don't think God said, yeah, I'm going to let this guy take him out. No, he's just not going to be a puppeteer. That defies the reason he gave us free will, if he's going to micromanage our lives.
Yeah. Any other thoughts?
I just think it's horrible. I think it's sad. I think it's so sad for this country. It's sad for his wife, his children, all the lives that he would have changed and could have touched. And it's sad that there are a group of people praising his murder, saying that he got what he deserved. Now, mind you, there are people that are on the left that are saying, this is terrible and it needs to stop.
Yes.
And I'm friends with one of them that took the high road and said, this is terrible. And somebody wrote, yeah, well, I blame you Democrats. And I wrote back, you're disgusting. I said, here she is, taking the high road, saying this should have never happened. You think Charlie would have said what you just said? There's going to be a what would Charlie do bracelet going around.
Yeah.
It's just crazy. I just think it's sickening.
And if it was twisted, if Joe Biden, God forbid, got shot at a rally or something and killed, there would be no Republicans praising his death.
Well, let's talk about, you're right, talk about Congress. They asked for a moment of silence in honor of Kirk yesterday, or Charlie, and they started screaming, using the F-bomb, and wouldn't even, but yet the Yankee Stadium did it.
And those are the people that are supposed to be running that country.
And they're the ones, running our country. I just think it's a tragedy that we'll never understand because, again, we don't live in a culture that says, I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy, and it's sad. And the only thing we can do is pray for his wife, pray for his children, pray for this nation, and listen, since 6th grade, I'm 50, I've been praying that God would raise up another Martin Luther King, and we haven't had one since. And we may never have another Charlie.
Hey, there's never been another Moses, never been another Josiah, never been another King David. Each person's their own. Look, somebody wrote, I trust in God. His ways are higher than ours. I cry and I don't understand why God didn't heal Charlie, but I trust his wisdom and his goodness.
Oh, that's what Charlie would say.
Wow, we've got all these people joining us.
No, it's just...
This is some other thoughts on this. Life is fragile.
Bible calls it a mist and a vapor.
Yes. Hatred surrounds us. It embraces too many aspects of our lives.
Look at the girl from Ukraine that was murdered.
Oh.
Okay? Not one person, even after the murderer left, even looked her way. The video shows somebody putting, here's the girl who died, here's the aisle, here's another, what looked like an American woman. She puts her backpack and turns and looks out the window. When I tell you, and I know I'm beating it like a dead horse, I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy, that is long gone from our society.
Yeah, but let's be honest. Look at the guy who, remember he went to trial, they were going to try and put him away for manslaughter. The Marine, was his name Penny? Somebody Penny? I don't know.
Oh, yes! And you know what happened yesterday? Somebody wrote, had that man been on that train, she'd be alive today.
Yes.
Wow.
But what I'm saying is that the reason is because look what happened to him. He almost went to jail for saving a person's life.
I understand.
So now that's why people stand and watch and they don't do anything. Because they don't have a clue what's going to happen to them. That's how far our justice system has swung in the wrong direction.
Mary said Charlie Kirk was a type of Christ. Jesus said, they will persecute me, they will persecute you also. Charlie is now risen with Christ. Our prayers in love and support to his wife and family.
Yes. I think it speaks about the intolerance in our culture. I think it speaks about the polarization in the United States of America. I mean, I have never seen our country polarized the way it is today.
But you understand, it's so far gone. Gianna follows an influencer whose 3-year-old drowned in a pool. Instead of mourning and saying, I feel terrible for her, everybody was throwing blame. Imagine this poor mother with a newborn baby and a 3-year-old loses her 3-year-old, and you want to say what you could have done to save your kid? Like, what if it was your own daughter that lost her child? Like, the country is so demoralized and non-empathetic, and I go back to, they wouldn't say I wouldn't do this to my worst enemy, because now they applaud it happening to people that aren't even your enemy.
Right. No, that's what I'm saying. This is satanic, because God is a unifier.
Well, there.
And Satan is a divider. Look, he did it in the garden. He separated Adam and Eve. Right? He separated man from God. He's a deceiver. And he is the divider. God says, Jesus' last prayer on earth is that we would be one, even as he and his Father were one.
We're further.
Last prayer.
We're further from one.
In the church, we're the furthest.
We're further than the East is from the West. It's just, nothing will make this right.
Yeah, look, Dante Agostino said about the poor Ukraine girl that was murdered on a train, which you just addressed.
Is it
Yeah.
go down further?
No, that's all he's got at this point. But anyway, wow! One of Charlie's last posts was calling out Stephen Furtick, who is a big-time pastor, calling him out, though he made comments and posts on every leftist agenda. He was silent and said nothing.
Yeah, because that's what I'm trying to say. These pastors with
Yeah.
voices, they aren't preaching the truth. Charlie preached the truth, and he did it, I'm going to
Yeah.
say it again in case you're just tuning in, without emotion. You didn't see when someone called him a racist and a Nazi. I was called a Nazi overnight. I post in memorial of Charlie Kirk, and someone said, "You're fired." Calling Nazi shooting is now in season, boys and girls. That's all a comment of me putting in a memorial. So
Yeah.
you're calling me a Nazi? I just went and served in Israel. You're calling Charlie a Nazi? He protected and supported blacks, women, Jews. He was Christ-like for as much as a human could be.
Right. And all I'm saying is, what he addressed on college campuses is what pastors should address in their pulpits.
Listen to this. Kaylee said, you don't even have to follow Christ to understand humanity and the value of human life. Wow. And then she says, there's no act like this that would ever come from God. Only man could commit such an atrocity. That's so true. You don't even have, you could be an atheist and have compassion for a mother who loses her baby's father. Wow.
Yeah. I'm just saying, and I opened the program with it, and I'm going to close with it, that we are where we are as a culture because the pulpit has remained silent on issues that it must address. Because if we don't, we're not going to have a nation left. We're going to live in immorality. God is not going to show his favor upon us like he did Israel. His anger will be, wow. We will face his anger, and we will lose everything that we cherish today that our founding fathers put into place in our Constitution, and we'll lose it all. And they were all based, no matter what people said, although we were certainly tolerant to any religion in the United States, they were based on Judeo-Christian principles. Period.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
But
just sad, and it's very sickening, and I just think it's only going to get worse. And until humanity realizes that we are one nation under God, until you realize, back to saying you wouldn't wish it on your worst enemy, it's only going to snowball. And I don't think we haven't already come to the place that you said could happen, where God is angry and turns his back. I mean, how can he not be? I know he's merciful and full of grace, but at some point...
We're going to talk about the rewards of repentance, and we'll do that not next week. Let's talk a little bit about our guests. So next week...
Sure, we have Don Fernelli.
My brother-in-law.
Yeah, he's the owner of Fernelli Funeral in Williamstown, and our topic is cremation. That should be interesting.
Yes.
The 25th, we have Monsignor Father Pete of St. Charles Barnameo, and our topic with Father will be, which is so funny me calling him Father, will be the rewards of repentance and confession. So, hey, in the meantime, keep Charlie's family in your prayers, and keep sharing his message. If you find a video of something he said that's encouraging and positive and loving and, empathetic to mankind, share it, post it.
Yeah. Be bold. Be willing to stand up for what's right. Like you said, just hold your ground. You don't have to scream at anybody. You
don't use
have to act
emotion.
like an idiot. Curse somebody out that disagrees with you.
Charlie was called every name in the book, said you should die, said all these things, and he would just sit there, and he never got unhinged.
It wasn't interesting, though. It was the question on his transgenderism.
When he got shot?
When he got shot. Right afterwards, he was shot. Well, that's a subject in itself. Let's close out.
Well,
we thank everybody for.
Yeah, we're not gonna close out like we normally do because it's just I don't feel it's right for today's topic. But we're here every Thursday at 12:30. If there's a topic you'd like to address, you can message Pastor Bruce. If you'd like a copy of today's transcript, you can also message him. And it's going to be a hard one, but we always close out our program.
Yeah. Well, I would want to say that this can be seen on YouTube.
Oh yeah, we do. You can go to YouTube.
For all of our podcasts.
If you just go to YouTube and search Hijacked Life Live, you'll have a couple years of these podcasts, and you know, as much as I don't feel comfortable doing this, I think that's what Charlie would want us to do. So we'll close out with our proclamation.
Yes, we will.
Live
For Jesus, and even a bad day will be a good day. Love you guys. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for your engagement and participation today. Much appreciated. See you next week. Do you know how to shut that off?
All right, I'm just going to do it right here.
Okay. And I'm going to turn. Thank you, everyone on Instagram, for following me. Usually it's Semaj.